Today, I'm gonna go ahead and install this DTM monitor in my Lancia. I believe it stands for Delta Touch Monitor. It's pretty cool. It plugs into the ECU, pretty much gives you all the information you need, boost oil pressure, anything you really want. I'm pretty sure it gives you multiple options. It's touchscreen. It's really cool. Got the carbon fiber little fascia to it. I believe it's from a company called Deltac, or I'm not sure the exact name of the company, but I will go ahead and link the website in the description if anyone's interested in getting one of these for their Lancias. I believe they also make it for a lot of other rally cars from that era. So this is a really cool piece. And for Evo 2s, it goes pretty much right in this hole. Someone actually put an aftermarket boost gauge in this car, but normally there's just like a little cubby similar to this cubby right here. For Evo 1s, I believe there's different gauges, so people usually remove one of the air vents and put it there. But I kind of like the Evo 2s, you don't remove an air vent, you could just use the factory little cubby. But should be really easy. Obviously, you just remove the little trim piece, which this is kind of broken on mine. I'm probably gonna like epoxy some washers on the inside of these to like get the screws in here, because it's pretty much just like hollowed out in these holes. Nothing catches the screws. So we got the trim piece off. It's not too hard. You pretty much just need, at least for mine, I needed 3 Allen screws up here, and then the just had to get the AC vents out first and then pulled it out. They're not too bad. They pretty much slide in here like that, and I was able to just use this little pry tool and just kind of like pull it loose on this side, and they slide out. So those are really easy. But I believe, I'm not sure exactly how to take this off, but it looks like just one kind of screw down here holding it. So I'm gonna loosen that up and see if that just comes out. Got the screw a little loosened, and then you can just pull it right out. You can see this is just kind of Japan hack job, to be honest. So I'm happy to get rid of this. They just kind of dremeled out to fit this. This thing doesn't even really fit to begin with, this boost gauge, but nice to get rid of that. I don't know how to disconnect these two. It's probably some clip. I'll look at that. Or no, it's actually just these 2 screws, I believe. So it shouldn't be too bad. I'm gonna get at that and I guess unplug whatever all these boost tubes are. So since my car had the aftermarket boost gauge, pretty much I think the factory tube that went to the stock boost gauge in the gauge cluster was just pretty much had a T in it that went to this boost gauge as well. So I removed that, plugged it back into the factory one, but there's also this tube here. I'm not really sure where this goes to, because it was like teed in multiple places, I guess. It doesn't really make sense, because this was teed to fit here, but it also has a little T here that split off and went somewhere into the dash somewhere. Not really sure where that goes. I might just leave it disconnected and see what happens. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go start putting this together. Should be pretty easy. Let's just remove the front of this and start bolting it on. So next thing I need to do is just remove this center tunnel cover and access the ECU and the wiring to plug in the monitor. It's just this little knob, and these should just kind of pop out. Just gotta pull it over the stud, and there you go. And I'm just gonna find out what wiring I need in this section. I think I found where this tube went to. Pretty much went to this little box behind the I guess glove box, which was pretty easy to take out. I think it was just 5 screws. I can't figure out how to do the plug for the light, so I'm just kind of just left it hanging here. But this is definitely part of probably the boost management like aftermarket system. So I'd like to remove this, and I'm kind of glad that I found it, because I just like saw it slightly through this hole and was like, you know what, I'm gonna remove that. And this gets rid of some of the wiring I was seeing that's just kind of loose. So it's kind of where the tube connects in right there. It's just like cheap Japanese crap. It seems like, I was looking online too, and it's like I see a lot of cars that went to Japan and came over here were just kind of hack jobs and like modifications, chipping the car and other stuff. It's kind of unfortunate, but it's nothing's like unreversible, and I'm slowly getting this car back, so it's not the worst. It's just extra work for me. I got the DTM monitor all mounted up with screws. It's very solid. Previous Japanese man who worked on this car had 0 screws on the top, and yeah, it was just a hack job, I'll be honest. I don't know if I mentioned, but I actually took off the glove box because there is an aftermarket boost controller part of it in here. It's just a hack job. It looks disgusting, but I got that out. Here's the original boost gauge that was Dremeled out here. It's disgusting as well. And it's like just a standard boost gauge, like right next to the one in the dash. So it doesn't really make sense. But you know, that dude was making mad power with that aftermarket like $100 boost controller. So he definitely had to upgrade it. I thought these cables were actually aftermarket, but I think they just are the recirculation for the AC. So I'm gonna ignore those for now. I think I've cleaned up all the hack job wiring. I just got to plug in the DTM monitor. So I did find the diagnostics cable. It's plugged in here. I unplugged it here. So originally it was plugged in. Let me get the original one. It's plugged in like this, down here, kind of laying on top of the ECU. But put the new one in, we'll plug right in. But I need to find a 12-volt power. There's a specific pin that only turns on when you turn the car, so I gotta find that and just connect it. So I got the wiring all figured out. The diagram, I guess, that I saw for the website that sells this was a little bit different than what mine is, I believe. So this connector was the one I disconnected, and this is actually the green with white wire that I need for the 12-volt when the ignition is on in the car. So I believe it's always going to be this specific green wire with white. I think all the wires are unique on this car, but that is all I needed. Obviously, this is the wire that plugs in, and I just routed it right up here. As you can see, it's pretty easy to route. I also, like I said before, removed all the weird aftermarket stuff that was on the car. I put screws, you know, to support the gauge cluster, because there was only 2 in there. There's now 4. I have screws in here because there's no screws before. That's very solid, not gonna rattle. And obviously that is the gauge on. I don't know what I'm doing. I just trying to peel this off. It's not going too well. There we go. Not sure why it turned off, but yeah. It's probably turning off because the battery's pretty low, I'm sure. It probably is barely supporting the 12 volt. I got the trim piece all mounted up. I made sure to put a lot of felt here, just so it doesn't creak as much. And then I epoxied just like plastic, I guess washers on the outside of it. So the little Allen screws actually catch, because they weren't catching before. It was pretty much like a hollow hole. Like there's no lip for the screw to catch on. So all those bolts up. And I'm really happy how that turned out. And then I just epoxied the little stud that clips in as well. So it's all put together very well. And it should start up right now. Oh, my windshield wipers are on. Yep, Delta Touch monitor. There we go. Let me get an angle that doesn't have too much reflection. But yeah, not sure how the menu works. Still restarting. I believe it's restarting because the battery's still low. I only have a trickle, yeah. Battery's still low. I don't have a trickle charger. Honestly, just driving the car will probably help that, but as you can see, all the gauges here. I think you can set, yep, that's just turned on. Interesting. Yeah. Anyways, I'll go charge the battery. Well, I don't even know if I could charge the battery with the trickle charger. It's not too happy. But yeah. Looks really good. Sorry for the glare, but it really doesn't have that much glare in person. I'm pretty sure it's like an anti-glare finish. At least looks really good. I like that it kind of blends in with the OEM vibe. The yellow is kind of similar to that of the gauges. And it just overall looks nice. And it's so much better than that like cheap Blitz boost gauge that was in here. And it was just like a regular boost gauge. So I don't understand why they put one like so close. But anyways, if you're watching this for an install, I guess I'll go run over this real quick. Pretty much just slide out these. You can just slide from the side to loosen it up, because there's little pins that stop it from rotating fully in a circle, see that? Which are on this side. So you push it out, pull the pin out, pull these out. Then you unscrew these and pull that out. Take off your little panel here and find this cable, plug it in, which is the data cable. So you'll route from the bottom, route it up to where the gauge is gonna be. Then also find the like, let me get the flashlight. It's like a kind of medium to dark green and white cable. Not to be confused with this lighter green and white cable over here. Make sure you do the medium green and white cable. There should be actually a little connector that goes off of the ECU. I don't know if it's because this is an Evo 2 or someone just did something previous to this car that changed this, but this is where mine was because it was actually plugged into the plug we changed for the data cable. So not sure how that all went up. But yeah, really easy install. On the Evo 2, you mount it here because you have the cubby, but I believe on the Evo 1, you mount it on this AC vent. So depending on what you have, you'll mount it a little differently. Evo 2 uses screws. I believe the Evo 1 that does the AC vent just clips right in. But really good mod, honestly. Probably an almost necessary mod for these cars because you get all the error messages, you get all the gauges you need, and I really think it looks cool. I mean, it's like retro, but has everything you need. So really happy with how that works. I need to fix this little thing. I don't know if I need to buy a new one or what, but I don't know. Let me know if you know anything about these little Velgia flash timer things. Got the interior all put back together. Looking really good. I actually kind of got the bubble out of this a little. It's still a little bit better, but it's better. Anyways, though, monitor looks really good. I mean, it looks OEM to me. Matches the carbon fiber down here. I think it's really turning out well. And I believe the battery's charged enough to go to the menu. I mean, it might not be. I think it's like a small battery, so it drains pretty fast, I think, when I don't drive it. Definitely need to leave it on a little tender overnight, but yeah. Here we are. It's pretty nice. So I'm gonna click the wrong one. Gotta get used to touching it, but I mean, I'm not sure exactly how to work this thing. It's gonna take a little bit of, and you go to like colors in here. So the battery's still, I think, low, so it's gonna keep restarting. Yeah, it needs to. It was at like a constant 12.5 earlier, and it was running really well. But yeah, you get pretty much everything you want on this screen, so it's hard to do without glare because of the lights in my garage. But looks really good. Honestly, I think it's an almost necessary mod for this car if you plan on driving it. It also looks really good. But I do like that you can check the errors. So kind of don't need to plug it in. I don't know what this, I'm assuming it's like an OBD1 or something, but nice that this checks it all. And it's really easy, like I was showing earlier. You just plug it into the data cable and then get a 12 volt from that medium green and white cable. So yeah, hope this really helps out anyone trying to install one of these. It's very simple, and if you aren't planning on getting one of these, I definitely recommend getting one.